With your own words.
Whoa.
With their own words.
That's a little presumptuous. I'm not going to say it's an ambush, but I think that's a low blow. Are you playing dumb, or are you just not that smart?
What difference does that make to the...
So are you playing dumb, or are you actually dumb?
Maybe
it's
I'm
about
dumb.
proportionality.
Maybe I'm dumb. But that's weird, because you said this.
I don't care. I don't care.
I know you don't care. See,
no,
honestly, Nick
it's
Fuentes,
true, and that's why people like me. That's why I'm popular.
You off these
is this an
horns.
interview, or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying? Why are you yelling at me? Tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down.
Clinton Jaws. Yeah, I know. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. I've been told forever, Nick Fuentes, I'm supposed to hate him. I'm not supposed to like this guy. I've never heard him speak until today. I didn't watch the Tucker Carlson interview. And everybody who watched it told me that Tucker took it easy on him. How dare you, Tucker? To a point where I was convinced that Tucker did something wrong. He is the worst of the worst. Trump doesn't like him now. J.D. Vance, he won't condemn him. And then I finally watch him speak today, and I'm going to show you guys the best parts. Piers starts off, hey, I'm not going to ambush you.
I don't intend it to be overtly hostile. I don't intend to ambush you.
Nick has already told Piers that he and his family, they're not rakists. Okay, there's no racism within him. Piers plays a clip, and I don't think I can play it, what Nick says here. But they come back after the clip, and they this is what Nick says.
Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part, and we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, all of them?
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean? What percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe let's say that, 5%.
Oh, so you're talking about black people who murder people?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
you
the
just said
problem.
blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that. That's a great point.
Do you think it's funny, or?
I do. I think it's hilarious. I think it's totally true.
Do you think a black American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know why? Here's the difference. Black people are the most victimized by other black people. You think black people want to live in the hood and the ghetto and get shot all the time? That's what happens in the south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
My son went to Chicago
Inglewood.
University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Yeah, that's a bubble. That's a bubble. You think you're in Chicago and Hyde Park? You don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west. See what it's like over there. And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. They know how it is. That's why the first thing they do when they make a little bit of money is they go and leave to another neighborhood.
Good point.
I mean,
Sure,
this is
a lot of white
problem.
people commit murder too. Well, they do, don't they?
Okay, but it's about proportionality. I mean, white people are 65% of the population. Blacks are 13%.
See, I honestly thought Piers would be up to date with this.
I think anybody would tell you that more black people proportionally commit violent crime than white people, and people vote with their feet. People would rather pay a much higher property tax.
Most mass shootings.
What's with the interruptions?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, you look at in Chicago, in New York, these neighborhoods are so stratified. People would rather pay a high tax rate. They'd rather pay a much higher property value to live in a less diverse, less black neighborhood because they don't want to live around the violence. And I think that when you look at even on the public transit, the subway, the blue line, you know, people don't want to go there because they know who occupies and menaces the public transit. It is these people like Daniel Penny had to deal with. It's people like Irina Zarutska had to deal with. And that's just the uncomfortable reality.
Another clip.
I'm a new generation of white person. I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. You know, I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry. It's racial for me. And call me racist. Oh, very Christian of you. I don't give a
I mean, it couldn't be clearer, really, unless you want to say that's another of your jokes. But you're basically saying, yeah, I'm a racist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with saying you're a racist?
Totally. I think everybody's racist. I think everybody, if we're being honest, is racist. I think everybody, the only people that aren't racist or pretend not to be are white people to their detriment.
They get back to that in a second, where he admits he's a racist. But Piers won't stop talking about his dad. Nick doesn't like it.
Let's just not talk about my father because my father isn't here. I'm here.
Okay, well,
I'll
then do you accept that you shouldn't talk?
I'll defend the
listen,
anecdote.
listen, that's fine. But then do you accept you shouldn't talk about your father on your show? And you shouldn't tell...
Absolutely not. Absolutely
so
not.
So it's fine for you to put a story out there which would make most people who listened to that story or watched it at the time on your show conclude that he was racist. It's fine for you to do that. But if I then ask you about it, I'm the one who's being unfair and I've crossed a line. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you're being malicious.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Listen, people are watching this live. They can draw their own conclusions about whether what I just did.
And they will.
Yeah, and I'm sure afterwards, by the way, you'll say, he ambushed me with your own words. With your own words.
That's a little presumptuous. I'm not going to say it's an ambush, but I think that's a low blow. And I think you know what you're doing, and that's fine. You're a tabloid journalist. I expected that. I don't think it's an ambush because I knew it would be like this. And people will see what you're doing, and I think they'll say it's low. But as far as you want to talk about racism,
I do.
Let's talk about racism. Let's leave my dad out of it.
Look, you've admitted you're a racist, correct?
Yes, 100%. Okay. Own it.
Okay, that's fine. You're perfectly entitled in a free democratic society to stare down the barrel of his camera and tell me you're a racist.
But Piers doesn't dissect what he means by that. When I'm watching this, when he said that, I'm thinking, well, what do you mean by that? Because I think you're messing around a little bit. And he sums it up at the very, very end of this interview.
White people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
You stand by that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So white people should go out of their way to avoid black people when they see them?
Absolutely. They would be wise.
Why?
Because it's a lose-lose proposition. If you're Irina Zarutska and you don't walk the other way, you get stabbed to death and you die. If you're somebody else and you walk on the subway and you stand near a black person or something, maybe it's fine. It's a lose-lose proposition. So no, I think that white people have been beaten into submission, that we're afraid to tell the truth about it. And the truth is that when you go into these major cities like New York or Chicago, I believe she was in North Carolina, there is a menace, which is young, black, adolescent men. They're extremely violent. And we have been told that we have to pretend like they are every other person. We have to be colorblind to that. And we're supposed to go and be in the midst of all this danger. And I think that at this point, it's gotten out of control. You might get shot. You might get mugged. Someone might run up on you.
It's not racism. That's being aware of your surroundings. When I was a cop and I'm going into a neighborhood that was non-white, that was vicious, I might have my hand a little bit closer to my gun. Is that racism? But culture has made us, ooh, we can't turn around. We got to keep on going. Because if I turn around, then what am I?
And I tell my followers, it is better to be perceived as racist or racist and walk the other way and maybe keep your life than to say, I'm a good anti-racist. I don't mind that this person's making me uncomfortable. Maybe he's looking a little froggy. I'm going to sit down because I'm a good person and get stabbed, mugged, whatever. And by the way, this is a strategy. They call it the friendly stranger. There's a crew of them. They do this in Chicago. They stand outside bars, black people. They approach strangers. It's a robbery crew. And they pretend to be a friendly stranger, and then they mug them. And stupid white people say, oh, hi, yeah, nice to meet you. You know, they grin, they laugh, they put up with the nonsense, and then they get mugged, or worse.
Massive argument here about schools.
I know that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools in America this century were perpetrated by young white men. And I'm
what proportion?
I'm curious I'm curious.
proportion?
I'm curious whether your advice would be to people who have kids in
Wait,
these
is my
schools.
mic working?
Should they?
What proportion?
Should they avoid white people at school? Should people with the kids at school avoid young white men at school?
No.
Okay.
Do you know what per capita means? Do you know proportionality? There are more black people proportionally that engage in violent crime or are involved in gangs, especially in these major cities, than there are white people that are school shooters compared to the entire white population. And everybody understands that.
Two-thirds of mass shootings at school perpetrated by white people.
But what proportion of white men commit school shootings? That's the question.
I've just told you. It's 60-65% of school shootings by white people.
You're telling me what proportion of school shootings are committed by white people. I'm saying what proportion of white people have committed school shootings. Are you playing dumb or are you just not that smart?
What difference does that make
to
the children lying dead on the ground?
See, now you want to jump on the victims. The difference is you're asking, would you fear white people or black people? And that's the difference. The difference is in terms
what I'm saying to you is, by your logic, if we now have agreed that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools are committed by white people and predominantly young white men, then presumably your advice would be to avoid young white men because they perpetrate these massacres. But it won't be because they're white, right?
So are you playing dumb or are you actually dumb?
Maybe
it's
I'm
about
dumb.
proportionality.
Maybe I'm dumb.
You are because you're, well, I don't think you are dumb. I think you're smart actually, but you're deliberately avoiding per capita. And everybody knows that's the difference. What proportion of white men are school shooters?
Piers finally gets the answer.
The proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings is actually the same for black and white.
For white people, the proportion of,
The proportion
again,
of the
are
population.
you hearing it? No.
See,
What's
I
the
think the trouble with
proportion?
your statistics is a lot of them don't bear much scrutiny. We have a bunch of fact checkers checking all this in real time because you do have a tendency to just come out with a lot of old baloney. And when you say, well, it's true. And when you're confronted with reality, you don't like it.
What's the figure? What proportion of white people
What's
have
the
committed
figure?
school shootings?
Just say
With
it.
white people as the denominator and white people that have committed school shootings as the numerator, what's that percentage?
For both black and whites, the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings generally is about the same.
Not an answer.
No. Tell me the number, and then
you're only when I point out to you that there are many parts of crime in America where actually there's a majority of white people that perpetrate them. You don't care. You don't have any interest in that. It doesn't exercise your mind. Maybe because
no one's buying this. This
kids.
argument lost. No one is buying this. Everybody understands per capita, and people can even see what you race ahead and say, well, we're comparing the proportion of white and black school shooters. I said, no, compare the proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that was the basis of the monologue, is that you're very likely, if you encounter black people or a young black man in the city, that you're going to be the victim of a violent crime, of a robbery, a mugging, a car theft, a carjacking, or a murder. That's the difference, and it's about proportionality. And everybody sees past that because we all live in reality. You want to talk about product of your environment. People that live in New York, Chicago, LA, we live in reality. We live in this environment, and we see what it's like. And the threat, the danger, in terms of probability, it's not even comparable.
Nick wants to live in a white neighborhood. A lot of people do.
In this city, in Chicago, the South Side, the West Side, huge criminal population, and I don't want to live anywhere near it. And I do. I want to live in a white neighborhood. I think that that's extremely desirable, and I think even black people do.
Nick, you're perfectly entitled to that view. But when you have obviously prefaced all this by saying, I am a racist, unashamedly, then people will assume that all your thought processes about all of these issues are driven by an aversion to people based on their skin color, which is the purest personification of racism.
Well, it's not an aversion. I would say it's the opposite. I like my own people. My own people are familiar to me, and I think that's true across the board. I think that people seek out other people that are like themselves, and every other group does this, whether it's blacks, Hispanics, Asians.
Is that a terrible thing to say? Or does it make sense?
Do you have any non-white friends?
Here we
Genuine
go.
question.
Most of my friends are non-white. Most of my friends are not, and non-white people love my show because they respect the honesty.
How many of your friends are black?
Can't be 12.
Many of them, like at least a dozen.
Wow.
Ye being one who you know, Sneeko being another who you also know.
Yeah.
I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively about it. And I speak provocatively about our tribalistic instincts and tendencies as human beings, not aversion based on skin color.
The reason I use the word aversion is you literally said that you should walk the other way if you see black people. That is an aversion to black people based on their skin color.
No, that's called economy of information. That's economy of information. That's safety. And I said in the same monologue, if you watch it, it's like, I feel sorry. The problem is you clip the 10 seconds. I don't know if you watched the whole show, but in that monologue, I said, most black people are not violent or criminals. I said, and it's unfortunate that we're going to offend them when we turn and walk the other way. I said, but the problem is we don't know. We can't tell. And someone like Irina Zarutska, she sat down in front of a black man with her headphones in and wasn't paying attention because she was being a good liberal and said, I'm not uncomfortable by this. I'm progressive. Then she got stabbed in the neck. And I said, it's unfortunate that you would have to sit behind the black man to be safe. And if he's not violent or schizophrenic, he might be offended by that.
Another clip. Now we get serious.
It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make $6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there.
You think that's funny?
It's funny. It's amusing what you're doing because, that one was a joke. But do you want to talk seriously about the Holocaust?
I do actually. I do because I just find it extraordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Why, too soon?
Oof.
Is it too soon to make jokes?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust? How many Jewish people?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 million. What's the number? 6 million, something like that.
So you
8 million?
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust?
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
So why have you doubted the numbers in the past?
I'll tell you why. I really think that every death is a tragedy, however many Jewish people died in the Holocaust. And I'm not a World War II historian, so I'm actually open to believing the official narrative, and I've read some of the conspiracy theories. And to tell you the truth, it's a rigorous debate. But what's interesting about this is in many countries, it's not even legal to talk about it. And that's really where my interest in the Holocaust begins and sort of ends, to tell you the truth, 60 years ago.
But there is no debate to be had about the number of people who were murdered. Even the Nazis in the trials after the war confirmed the numbers.
If the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything at least should be debated. And if the evidence is very one-sided, let the evidence speak.
Here's the big part. They're going to play a clip that got this Nick guy in big trouble.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really cool.
Do you regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
You think Hitler was very cool?
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest,
this is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny
Piers not once asks him, what do you mean? I'm doing the interview? I would say, what do you mean by that? If my son ever came up to me and said, hey, Hitler's cool, I'd be like, oh, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Explain yourself. There's got to be an explanation. Why wouldn't you ask that question? I don't know why I'm getting excited. This is like the third time I've watched it. Now Piers plays a clip of his friend. Speaks for itself.
As you're interviewing Nick Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home in the United States. Since he says he's on Team Hitler, you might like to ask him about the fact that Hitler arrested my mum, tried to starve my mum to death, did starve my grandmother to death, sent my great aunt to the gas chamber, my great uncle, my cousin. My grandmother on my father's side ended up being one out of 7 children, the only one that survived the war. So you might ask him whether he wouldn't rather be on Team Mum rather than Team Hitler.
Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very cool? The most
He was
genocidal
cool.
monster of the last 150 years?
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching. You know,
Yeah, you might
we
be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So
Yeah.
maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members
Oh my
were
gosh!
murdered.
Yeah, we got all that. We, me mom. Like we're, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler,
Because
and
he
me
doesn't
dad
find
got
it
killed
funny
by.
when you say Hitler's very
I don't
cool.
care.
He finds
I don't
I know
care.
you don't care.
The guy is actually a master at arguing. If you really want to come down to it. And I love watching arguments. Nothing wins an argument more when you say to your spouse, yeah, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it that way. I know you want me to do it that way, but I don't care. So I'm not going to do it that way. I know that makes me look bad. But you know, when you're in the heat of the moment and you're in an argument with somebody and you just throw out, I don't care. It shuts the other side up. I get what he's doing. And I also get that he's 27.
And what do you mean by Hitler is very cool? Because I think he's very a monster.
Okay. That's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah, I
mean,
do.
can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow
He
up?
murdered
That
12
is just
million
childish.
people. He murdered 12 million
Okay.
people. What is very cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades, it's cool as a guy. You look at World War II and it's fascinating and it's interesting and it's compelling and it's cool. And
It's an answer. You might not like it, but you're starting to understand it a little bit more of what he meant.
we're just tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions. And then we literally get an old Jewish guy from England who's going to say, "Oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom." And it's like, shut up. Like, no one is in favor of genocide. So let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half
It's
your
80
family
years ago.
you think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was very fucking cool? Or would you think that actually he was a despicable monster? What motivates you to say something like Hitler was very fucking cool?
It's for this. It's for all of this. And the lack of self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer. You're a 60-year-old boomer. And we've spent maybe 3 minutes on you saying, he's a really monster. He incinerated people. And I'm sitting here saying it's not that serious. It's not that deep. And,
Not that
and what
serious.
I'm getting at.
Not that serious.
Do you want to say more about
Well,
he's a monster?
You're not a kid yourself anymore. You're not a teenager.
I know.
Right?
I know.
You're nearly 30, to be clear.
Yeah,
Okay? You're a
I
fully
know.
formed adult who has a brain, right? And at some stage, that brain is taking you off these
Is
rabbit
this an
warrens.
interview or is this a lecture? Can I respond to what you're saying?
I want you
in
to
full?
I want you to explain why you think it's fine to say how cool Hitler is and to dismiss the very powerful 90 seconds from a British journalist who lost a lot of family members to the Nazis in such a callous, dismissive manner.
I don't think it's powerful. I think we've been hearing that our entire lives. Hitler is a monster. This has been the political narrative, which is why we have thrown open the borders. This is a political narrative, which is why we can't be a conservative society as a whole anymore, why we can't be proud of Europeans, why we can't be proud of being Christian, because they've told us if you're too white and too proud and too Christian, it's going to lead to a Holocaust. And so my generation, our
What a
entire
crock
lives.
of shit,
See,
honestly. Honestly, Nick
it's true.
Fuentes,
And that's why
what
people
a
like me.
crock
That's
of-
why I'm
what
popular,
a
because this
crock
is
of
bullshit.
shit. Honestly.
Yeah, it's a crock.
What
We
you
don't want
just
to hear
said-
any
what
more
you
about
just
me
said-
mom and me dad.
What
That's
you
the crock
just
of shit.
no, listen. What you just said is a crock of, and you
It's
know
true.
it.
It's
And
called the open society.
In your gut, you know it is. You weaponize
No,
this stuff.
you know.
You weaponize this stuff for money, but you know when you say something like what you
I'm
just
banned
said.
from banking.
You
I'm
know
banned
it-
from banking and credit cards. You know who you're talking to? I
Yeah,
do it for money.
and by the
How
way-
much money you
and by
make?
the
Your
way,
company's
that
worth
shouldn't-
$100 million.
and by-
Your company's worth $100 million. I was banned from Bank of America.
And you
I'm
shouldn't have
banned from
been.
processing credit cards.
And you shouldn't have been.
But I am. So don't tell me I'm doing it for money.
Well, ask me my opinion about that. I'll tell you shouldn't have been. Right? I don't agree with that. What happened to
Then
you?
don't say I'm doing it for money, because you know that full well, and you say it's a
How
grift.
much money- how much
if I
money
wanted to
are
be
you-
a grifter, I'd be like you,
How
and
much
I would
money
go
are,
and say,
how much money are you making?
I'm making a lot of money now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm the #1 live streamer in America, because people agree with me more than they agree with you. We're tired of hearing about slavery and the Holocaust and Jim Crow. We're done hearing about that. You guys
I'm not
overplayed your
done
hand.
hearing about that.
Okay, well, your generation's on the way out, and Generation Z is coming up, and we're finished with that. We're ready to take our country back.
I've got three
we're
sons.
not listening
I've
to
got
crime
three
minorities
sons.
anymore.
I've got 3 sons, and they don't share your views about
Yeah, well.
slavery and about the Holocaust. They can have decency and compassion and humanity about some of the worst things that have happened in the last 150 years or more.
Sound like girls.
They can do that, and they can also have concerned views about issues like immigration and other issues.
He makes a good point here.
Right now, and you can laugh at this, you can scoff at this, our people are being genocided in our country. 50% of the live births in the United Kingdom and in the United States are non-white. In 100 years, my ancestors, your kids who are so empathetic and compassionate, they're going to be a minority. They're going to be a minority in maybe a Muslim country, an Indian country, an Hispanic country. And these Jewish people that are 100 years old talking about my grandparents and the Holocaust, they don't care about that. Actually, they like to see it. At the SPLC, they're literally counting down the days until whites are a minority in America. So forgive me if I don't believe them when they talk about compassion. There's a genocide going on right now. It's not against the Jews.
Christians?
What he's saying there is exactly what's happening in Canada. But everybody's supposed to be fine with it.
See, this attitude is why you're losing. When you say
Who am I
poor
losing
old
to?
white people,
Who
these
am I
poor
losing
old
to?
white people,
Who am I losing to?
you're seeing it. Mass migration. Oh, you're losing to me. We are losing as a civilization of mass migration. And here's the difference. In Israel, they have my politics. In Israel, they want to maintain a Jewish majority. If they had it their way, it would only be Jewish people. They're fighting like hell so that Jewish people can have as much territory, a Jewish state. They can be proudly Jewish in their own land. Whereas in America, we are being besieged by 10 million illegal immigrants in 4 years. And then whites and Christians are going to be the minority. And that's true in Canada, Australia, all the countries in Europe.
Piers is so captured on trying to get him during this entire interview instead of listening to him.
No, see, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist.
You said
these
you were a
words
racist.
mean nothing to me. Oh, hang
You
on.
gave
Whoa,
yourself.
can I respond?
You gave
Hey,
yourself the label.
what is this?
You said I am a racist. I didn't
No.
give you the label.
Okay.
You said,
You're-
Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down. Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I
the
didn't
thing.
give you the label. You did.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying
Why
to
are you
infer
screaming at me?
something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No, you did. You said, I'm a racist. You
Okay.
gave yourself the label.
You're going to have to tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you denied the Holocaust. And I'm not about the labels,
You
man.
didn't deny
I'm
the
just
Holocaust.
past that.
Nick tells Piers that he doesn't believe in equal rights. But they don't dissect exactly what he's talking about. Equal to who, I don't know. And it gets a little weird. Just watch.
For the women's march, are we going to see you at the women's march protesting for women's rights and all that?
I think women should have equal rights to men. Period.
You carry
And
tampons in case your female friends get a period or something? Like, it's crazy. The
I'd
white
have no
knighting
problem.
is
I'd have no problem
diabolical.
giving a female friend a tampon, would you? Have you ever? I don't suppose you've ever seen a tampon, have you?
Gross. Absolutely not. Get that away
you think
from me.
tampons are gross?
Yeah, they're
Really?
filled with period blood. Yeah, it's kind of gross.
Wow.
Are you into that?
No, it's a beautiful thing, Piers. Nothing turns me on more.
You like that? You,
Have you ever
got
seen
a lot of tampons?
I don't think you've ever seen it, have you?
I've seen them. I've
Oh,
seen
you
them
have?
before.
You've been that close
Yeah.
to a woman? Really?
No, I've seen them. Look, I
Oh, you've seen
I
videos?
used to live with women, so I've seen them around the house.
I bet you've seen videos, haven't you?
What? What are we doing here, Piers?
What would happen if the Pope condemned you that you were racist?
Yeah, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that
If he
at all.
condemned you because you've openly admitted to being a racist
Listen,
on this show?
Oh, this racist. I would be disappointed if he said that, because I think that word racist, it means something different to everybody. And so I think that's just silly. I think that's just
see how he keeps it to himself? And Piers doesn't dig? What do you mean by that?
if he said that, because I think that word racist, it means something different to everybody. And
What does it mean to you? Piers, ask him.
so I think that's just silly. I think that's just semantic.
Have you ever been in love in your life?
Yeah.
No, like romantically, no,
Yeah. Never.
no.
Do you think that's part of the problem?
What's the problem?
Why you are the way you are?
Oh, and what's the way I am? What are you trying to say?
I've given people 2 hours of the way you are. You're unashamed about a lot of it.
I don't think I have a problem. I think I'm cheerful, boisterous. Look, unlike you, I'm willing to be a little provocative. Well, I guess you're willing to be provocative, but I'm willing to be very provocative, and I'm a free thinker.
And I think people who don't know you very well,
Like me.
will have been shocked in parts and surprised in other parts.
I wasn't.
But in totality, they can see you for what you are.
just
I think we've got a lot nearer to what the real Nick
cares?
Fuentes is in the last 2 hours than we probably
He's
have
a
seen
27-year-old
from
kid.
your other recent interviews. Would you agree?
No, I mean,
The world is getting excited about this Nick guy? He's a 27-year-old kid. What is wrong with you guys? Oh, he's terrible. Then don't listen to him.
the clip thing, we've done the clip thing. We've all seen the clip show. Everyone's seen the clips. You think you're the first one to do the ADL rap sheet. So here you said this, and then here you said that. I've been playing that game for 10 years. So this is honestly more of the same, to tell you the truth.
I don't know. Maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe I missed something.
50%.
But it was just an interview with this guy, this Nick kid, telling his side of the story. And he's the devil. Did you just watch a devil? Maybe you did. Maybe I did, but I need more time to digest it, but I don't think so. How much more time do I need? Piers is going to get credited for this great interview, but I think it's one of the worst interviews he's ever done. I don't think he looked good. I don't think he looked professional. I thought weird things came out of Pierce's mouth. But I could also see this Nick guy getting canceled because of this interview. I could see it going down that way. Because the articulation wasn't there. Piers didn't let him articulate. And actually, you know what? I don't even think Nick wanted to. I think he liked just kind of giving short, yeah, sure. Yeah, call me racist. Yeah, I'll own it. I'll take it. But what do you mean by that when you say that? He's turning around when you're walking down a dark alley and it's not a white person. Doesn't make you racist. I don't know. I know I'm not going to be popular after posting this, but dumb. I thought it was a dumb interview. Yeah, it was a dumb interview. It actually, I just watched a bunch of dumb shit. And we can't stop talking about this guy. What have we become? Who cares what he has to say? Why are we even caring? Why were you guys so mad at Tucker Carlson? I don't even understand it now. Oh, no. Charlie Kirk didn't like him. I don't care. Love Charlie Kirk, but I don't care if Charlie didn't like him. And I guarantee you, if Charlie was still around, eventually these two would have had an interview. I don't know. That's it. I got to go in. Thanks for watching. I don't even know if I'm going to post this. It's way too long. Bye-bye.